going on, guys? Roger here, SHOT Show 2025 Media Range Day. I'm here with the dynamic duo, Ben Arias of Flux/Antimatter, and they have an even more updated version of the Electronic ScopeSwitch. Which one are you taking it away first?
I got it. What's up?
Break it down. So, improvements. They are seeing it in the B-roll right now of the new switch. Why the new switch?
Basically, we started with a rocker switch. That's what we wanted to do, and we could never get it small enough. So we're like, oh shit, we got to just go to a button switch, which is what you guys saw last year. It was a plus minus. Either it's going forward or it's going back. And Ben was like, hey, you know, we lost some of the intuition and the user feedback there. So our engineers were clever enough to figure out some pretty sciencey wizardry shit. We don't even quite know how it works, but essentially now it is pressure dependent. So if you need to zoom in fast, you just apply more pressure forward, or you can back off, and it just helps you. It almost feels a little bit more like the original manual scope switch, which gave you a lot of like feedback and control over the whole system. On top of that, we made it more waterproof, as well as we beefed up the motor inside so it would work with the Night Force Attacker series, which are very hard to turn. So just more torque, essentially.
Awesome. So speaking of the torque, is it still going to be dependent on like how stiff this is based on the scope that you buy?
It's always going to be dependent on the scope that you're using with it.
Okay.
But that said, I mean, even with the stiffest scopes, they're still lasting a very long time and they work no problem. It's just that if you have an easy to turn scope, it's less resistance, it takes less power to overcome that resistance, and so it'll last way more cycles, which again, they'll still last thousands of cycles. Like it's.
And then how many points of sensitivity are on this?
8,000, 4,000 for front and back. So it basically, as fast as you want to go or as slow as you want to go, it's very intuitive. The front button has a dead spot in the center where you can, it's a kind of a complex dual, it has two pivots, so you can C-clamp it very hard and it's not going to do anything, but as you shift your thumb forward very slightly, as opposed to, you know, shifting your whole hand like in the manual, you barely bump your thumb over, front or back, and it'll start moving front or to the rear, I guess, zoom in or zoom out. And then the rear is a bit different design. It's a single pivot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ideal.
Being able to set up for, you know, bolt guns or long range, like that was awesome to see, like right there where you're going to end up, you know, tripoding your arms out. But to kind of like preface what you're saying, like, guys, this is my first time using it, what you're seeing in the B-roll, and when he says 8,000 points to sensitivity, I don't want anybody to misconstrue that and think it's like oversensitive. It's not. Like the best way to describe it is exactly when you want to go forward, it goes forward. Exactly when you want to come back, it comes back. It literally, when you want to stop, it's very intuitive. When I was talking to Ben off camera, he said, like, I wanted to make the manual, I wanted that feeling, like you feel that your hand is changing your zoom, and the same thing with this button, like you literally, as you're doing it, you feel like, oh, I'm the one changing that, and it's very intuitive. It's kind of like weird, like you're like, button's part of it.
Yeah.
Kind of we wanted to replicate like an Xbox controller, honestly, where you have that sensitivity on like.
Yeah, that's a great way.
On the R trigger, you know, you're just like able to pull back a little bit. That was basically the idea.
What are we thinking release date?
It's a good question, man. We messed up last year by giving some sort of estimate
for this year. What do you think? What's
going to be this year?
This year,
it's going to be this year. We don't know when. Like it's getting really close.
As long as it's before December 31st.
Yeah, it's getting close. But at the same time, we still have to. We're still in testing. Like we do massive, crazy torch testing, and it still hasn't completed that. We have a lot, like the waterproof. We have to do a lot of torture testing on it. So it's getting there. It's very close. Those buttons still are, you know, very late stage prototypes, but they're still prototypes. So there's so much to figure out. Like it's got to be perfect. We don't want to release it before it's done. So we don't want to tell, you know, everybody that it's going to come out this time, and we don't make that, and we're pressured to release it too early. So it's going to be this year someday.
Okay. And then the manual scope switch will still be a product, though.
Yep.
Still out.
Yeah. Well, the manual will always have its advantages, such as, you know, again, it's super intuitive in terms of.
You don't need an instruction manual. You just get
direct control. It's lighter weight, and it never will, you know, stop working with basically any situation. So it's always going to have its advantages, whereas the electronic one is better in terms of, you don't have to move your hand at all, just your thumb. And
so for those people that want to have that consistent grip in the same spot, which I'm not going to lie, in the manual one, like, there wasn't a position my hand was at where I couldn't shoot from accurately. So
cool.
But if you haven't tried the manual one, definitely try one out. What do we have a price point in mind for the E-ScopeSwitch?
As low as possible.
I'm asking the hard question.
$1 million.
$1 million.
All right. I mean, the collector would probably buy it.
No, we don't have a price point right now. We're working on it. Obviously, we want it to
do we have a
be affordable,
price?
but we might have two different variants.
Okay.
One that's for military law enforcement that has a more expensive motor inside of it, and one that's more for general public, so a pro and a base model.
Gotcha.
I mean, there's a reason why most electronics are made, in Asia, particularly China, and because of the price point. The price point of high-end electronics is very hard. You can get high-end electronics from Asia, but we're not doing that. We're going with other ones, and it's very hard to keep it. And also 7075, like everything. We're trying to make the very best product for the very best price, and so we don't know, because we're constantly trying to not cut corners but reduce the cost so that the price will be lower to the consumer.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, that wasn't very helpful at all.
No, but I mean, at least people are gonna know, like, when it comes out, like, it's not going to be, I'll flat out say it, it's not going to be cheap, but it's not being made cheap. So, like, I thought when you guys told me the price of the first ScopeSwitch, because they had me, guys, when they come out to test that, they didn't tell me anything. They handed me the gun, and I wish Alex would have recorded it, because I thought it was just a hand stop. And then Ben's like, no, pull back. And I'm like, yo, what the hell's happening? And that's how easy it is to use. And like, I got it. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then
I remember John's reaction.
And then, like, when they told me the price point, I thought it was going to be like double that. So, like, when you see everything goes into it, it makes sense. Just looking at the rubber tubing you guys are using, I'm like, God, I get when you're saying, like, waterproof, it's beefy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, well, as always, guys, you guys are killing it. Congrats.
Thank you, brother.
I only get to see these guys like twice a year. They come out once a year, and we have a blast, and then I see them at SHOT Show. But the booth, there's always people here wanting to shoot stuff. So, we're going to go by their booth because they have other stuff, other accessories on the Raider side of things that I definitely want to show you guys. So, at the booth, we'll hop on later this week. But Ben, Arias, thank you for taking the time, boys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.